"What kind of trash did you bring in here?" Deputy Mercer barked. Before Maya Williams could answer, he snatched the canvas evidence bag from her hands so hard the strap burned across her palm. "Wait." With a violent jerk, Mercer swung around and hurled the entire bag straight into the burning metal barrel in the back office. The orange flames instantly swirled around the white envelope marked "Evidence." "No." Maya lunged forward. "That's evidence. That proves my father wasn't there." Dale moved faster than she expected. He stepped in front of her and shoved both hands against her shoulders. "Get out, you filthy little troublemaker." Maya stumbled backward, but she kept her feet. Her eyes were still locked on the fire. "My father is innocent," she said. "You have to log that evidence. You have to." Dale grabbed her arm, dragged her toward the glass door, and pushed her through it. Rain blew in from outside. Maya twisted, trying to look past him, trying to see whether anything in the bag could still be saved. Dale leaned close, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "You come back in here again with that fake nonsense, and I'll put you in cuffs." Then he slammed the reception door in her face. The glass rattled in its frame. Maya didn't waste a single second screaming or standing frozen in the rain. She turned sharply to the woman standing near the corner of the hallway outside the office. "Mrs. Price," she said, breathless. "Tell me you got that." Gloria Price lowered her phone just enough for Maya to see the screen still recording. She was 67 years old, a retired school teacher with silver hair tucked under a rain bonnet and the steady eyes of a woman who had spent her life knowing when a child was being bullied. "I got him grabbing the bag," Gloria said. "I got him throwing it. I got him pushing you out." Maya swallowed hard and stepped under the narrow awning beside her. "Did you get the fire?" Gloria angled the phone toward the glass. Through the rain-streaked door, the orange glow inside the back room was still visible. "I'm getting it now." Maya's hands trembled, but her voice sharpened. "Keep recording. Don't stop, no matter what he says." Inside, Dale Mercer stood just beyond the reception counter. He was talking to the clerk, waving one hand like he was explaining away a small inconvenience. But when his eyes shifted toward the glass and saw Gloria's phone pointed at him, his face changed. It was quick, a blink, a tightening around the mouth, a flicker of something he covered almost instantly with anger. Maya saw it. So did Gloria. "That man just got nervous," Gloria whispered. Maya stared through the glass. Dale turned away from them, but not before glancing back toward the burn barrel, as if checking how much of the bag had already disappeared. Maya's mind moved fast now. The first evidence was burning, but the act of burning it had become evidence too. "Mrs. Price, I need you to say the date and time on camera," Maya said. Gloria looked at her. "Do it now," Maya said, "before he comes back out." Gloria lifted the phone closer to her face. "This is Gloria Price. I am standing outside the Pine Hollow County Sheriff's Office on Monday morning. I have just witnessed Deputy Dale Mercer destroy a citizen's evidence bag in the fire and assault her." Before she could finish, the door jerked open. Dale stepped out again, his jaw tight. "What do you think you're doing?" he snapped. Gloria did not lower the phone. Dale pointed at her. "Turn that off." Gloria's voice stayed calm. "No, sir. This is a law enforcement matter, and destroying evidence is what kind of matter, Deputy." Dale's face darkened as he stepped closer, ignoring the camera. "You two are making a very dangerous mistake interfering with my scene." Maya lifted her chin, staring right into his panicked eyes. "No, you're the one who is terrified of what was on that drive." Tires crunched across the wet gravel behind them. A white sheriff's SUV turned into the lot and stopped near the entrance. The driver's door opened almost immediately. Sheriff Thomas Callahan stepped out. Dale's posture changed before the sheriff even reached the awning. His shoulders pulled back. His face rearranged itself into official concern. "Sheriff," Dale called quickly. "I've got it handled. She caused a disturbance, brought in fake evidence, refused to leave, and now she's filming the office." Callahan did not look at Dale first. He looked at Maya. The recognition came over him slowly. Then all at once, his eyes widened. His mouth parted slightly, not in confusion, but in memory. The hard official expression left his face. He took one step closer, staring at Maya like he had seen a ghost wearing rain and red mud. "Maya?" he said quietly. Dale glanced between them. Callahan removed his hat. The movement was small, but it changed everything. The people inside the reception area went still. Gloria kept recording. Maya stood under the awning, wet, shaking, but suddenly aware that Dale Mercer was no longer the only power in the yard. Callahan's voice rose, clear enough to carry through the open doorway and across the lobby. "Miss Williams, your mother once saved my life. What is going on here?" Dale froze, not stiffened. Froze. His eyes snapped to Maya, as if he were seeing her for the first time. Not as a girl in muddy shoes. Not as a nuisance. Not as someone he could shove through a door and forget. "Miss Williams." The name hung in the rain between them. Maya took a breath. "Sheriff, I brought evidence to prove my father didn't set that fire. Deputy Mercer took the bag from me and threw it into that burn barrel." Gloria stepped forward, phone still raised. "I recorded it, Sheriff." Dale cut in fast. "That is not what happened. She came in here making accusations, waving around some drive, nobody authenticated, and I disposed of what appeared to be contaminated material from a fire scene." Callahan glanced at Gloria's phone screen, then fixed a deadly stare on his deputy. "You destroyed a citizen's submission without logging it, Dale?" Dale's face reddened, his voice trembling. "Sheriff, with respect, I made a judgment call." Callahan stared at him. "Then, I'll make one too." He turned toward the clerk inside. "Lock down the reception footage. Nobody deletes a second of it. Seal the burn barrel. I want photographs, chain of custody, and a written statement from every person who saw what happened." The clerk nodded quickly. Callahan looked back at Maya. His voice softened, but only slightly. "Your father's case is reopened as of this minute." For the first time that morning, Maya felt the ground beneath her steady. Dale took half a step forward. "Sheriff, you can't reopen a case because of a video from some woman's phone." Callahan did not raise his voice. He did not need to. "I can reopen it because a deputy in my office just burned something a citizen identified as evidence and pushed that citizen into the rain." Gloria's phone captured every word. Dale looked at the phone again, and this time the anger on his face could not hide the fear underneath. Maya saw it clearly now. The bag was gone. The papers were ash. The USB might have melted beyond use. But Dale Mercer had made one mistake he could not throw into the fire. He had done it in front of witnesses. Callahan stepped aside and opened the glass door himself. "Miss Williams," he said, "come inside." Maya looked at the doorway Dale had slammed in her face only minutes earlier. She looked at Gloria, who gave her a small nod. Then Maya stepped back into the Pine Hollow County Sheriff's office, not as a girl begging to be believed, but as a witness walking toward the first crack in a lie. Maya stepped through the glass door with rain still running from the ends of her hair. The lobby that had felt hostile only minutes earlier now felt watchful. Every face had turned toward her, but the silence had changed. It was no longer the silence of people pretending not to see. It was the silence of people realizing they had seen too much to pretend. Sheriff Callahan held the door until Gloria Price followed Maya inside, her phone still raised. Dale Mercer remained near the threshold, stiff with anger, but he did not touch either woman. He looked as if he wanted to speak, to take control of the room again, but Callahan cut him off before he could find the words. "Deputy Mercer, step away from the reception counter." Dale's jaw tightened. "Sheriff, this is unnecessary. Step away." The words were not shouted, but they carried the full weight of the badge Dale had been hiding behind. Dale moved back 2 steps. His boots scraped against the floor. The receptionist sat frozen behind the counter, one hand still resting near the keyboard. She was young, maybe no older than 30, and her face had gone pale. Callahan turned to her. "Emily, pull up the front lobby camera and the back office camera. Make a copy right now. Save it to the secure drive and to an external unit. Do not overwrite anything." Emily nodded too fast. "Yes, Sheriff. And call Deputy Miller in here." Dale's eyes flashed. "Aaron's on patrol. He's in the building," Callahan said without looking at him. "I saw his cruiser out back." That shut Dale's mouth. Maya stood near Gloria, arms close to her sides, fighting the urge to rub the place where Dale had grabbed her. She did not want to give him the satisfaction of seeing pain. Her father was sitting behind bars because somebody had decided his name was easier to burn than investigate. If she looked weak now, Dale would use it. Men like him always used what they were given. Callahan turned to her with a different tone. "Miss Williams, I need you to tell me exactly what you brought in." Maya looked toward the back office. The fire inside the barrel had settled lower, but smoke still curled above it. Her stomach tightened. "A canvas bag," she said. Inside was a folder with printed stills, a written statement, and a padded envelope with a USB drive. What was on the drive? My father's alibi. She forced herself not to explain too much. Not here. Not with Dale listening. A video that proves he wasn't at the barn when the fire started. Dale let out a hard laugh. "That's convenient." Callahan turned his head slowly. "You are done talking, unless I ask you a question." Dale's face darkened, but he went quiet. Gloria lowered her phone for the first time, though she kept it recording at her side. "Sheriff, I saw her walk in holding that bag. She asked for evidence to be logged. She did not threaten anybody. She did not yell until he threw it." Callahan looked at her. "Mrs. Price, I'll need a formal statement. You'll have it. And the video. You'll have that too. But I'm keeping my own copy." For the first time that morning, something like approval passed through Callahan's eyes. That would be wise. Dale shifted. "Sheriff, you cannot let citizens decide how evidence is handled." Callahan faced him. "Apparently neither can I let every deputy decide that with a burn barrel." The words landed with a heavy, final thud. Dale flicked a glance toward the stunned onlookers in the lobby, his jaw clenching as he realized exactly how public his mistake had just become. Callahan pointed toward the hallway. "Dale, my office. Sit there and wait. I should be present if she makes a statement about my conduct." "No. You should be grateful I'm not asking for your badge this minute. My office. Now." For one dangerous second, Dale did not move. Then the back of his neck flushed red, and he walked down the hall with the stiff steps of a man trying not to look defeated. Maya watched him go. His departure should have made her feel safer, but it did not. It only made the room feel larger, like Dale had opened a door to something behind him that she could not yet see. A young deputy appeared from the side corridor, lean and nervous, with rainwater still on his sleeves. His name tag read Miller. "You called for me, Sheriff?" Callahan nodded toward the back office. "Aaron, I need the burn barrel sealed. Use gloves. Photograph it before anyone touches it. I want the remains of that bag treated as evidence." Aaron glanced at Maya, then at the hallway where Dale had gone. Something troubled crossed his face. "Yes, sir. And Aaron," Callahan added. "You answer to me on this. No one else." Aaron hesitated just long enough for Maya to notice. "Understood." The sheriff turned back to Maya. "Your father's case file is locked as of now. I'll review it personally. Until then, nobody adds to it, removes from it, or discusses it outside this building." Maya wanted to believe him. She wanted to let those words settle over her like shelter, but shelter had a way of collapsing when it was built by the same hands that let the storm in. "My father is still in jail," she said. "I know. He shouldn't be. I know that may be true." "It is true." Callahan held her gaze. "Then help me prove it the right way." Maya almost laughed, but there was no humor in her. "I tried the right way." He threw it in the fire. Gloria touched Maya's elbow gently, her grip firm and steadying, a silent reminder that she was no longer standing alone against the uniform. Callahan absorbed the words without flinching. "Then we start with what survived." Nothing survived. Mrs. Price's video survived. The building cameras may have survived. The ashes in that barrel survived. Your statement survived. And if your mother taught you anything like I remember, there may be more than one copy invade. Maya's breath caught. It was the first time since he had said her name that Callahan had sounded not just respectful, but certain, as if Eleanor Williams were standing somewhere behind Maya, arms folded, waiting for everyone else to catch up. Dale's voice sounded from down the hall, sharp and angry. "Sheriff, I need to make a call." Callahan did not look away from Maya. "No calls. She's turning this into something it isn't." Now Callahan did turn. Close my office door, Dale. A pause. Then the door shut hard enough to make the wall tremble. The receptionist whispered, "Sheriff, I have the lobby footage pulled up." Callahan walked behind the counter. Maya followed only as far as the public side allowed. Gloria stood beside her, phone now lowered but still in her hand like a weapon she had never expected to carry. On Emily's screen, the footage replayed in grainy, brutal silence, the snatch, the violent shove, and the immediate flare of orange inside the burn barrel. It was clean, deliberate, and undeniable. Callahan's face hardened. "Save both angles." Emily nodded. "Already exporting. And print stills." "Yes, sir." Aaron returned from the back room wearing gloves, carrying a metal evidence tray. Charred canvas, blackened paper fragments, and the melted shell of something small lay inside. Maya recognized the shape before her mind wanted to accept it. The USB. Her knees almost weakened, but she locked them. Aaron placed the tray on the counter. "The drive is damaged, Sheriff." Dale's office door opened down the hall. "I told you," Dale called out, stepping into view despite the order. "That thing was useless. Now can we stop entertaining this circus?" Nobody answered him at first. Then Gloria Price raised her phone again, aimed it directly at Dale, and said in the calmest voice in the room, "Deputy, if it was useless, why did you burn it before anybody could see it?" The lobby went still. Dale stared at her. Maya stared too, but for a different reason. Gloria had asked the question. Maya had been afraid to say aloud in front of everyone. Callahan looked from Gloria to Dale. Dale's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "I made a judgment call," he said. "No," Callahan said. "You made a record." That was when Maya understood the morning had changed shape. Her father was still in jail. Her USB was burned. Dale still wore his uniform. But the truth had found its first witness, then its second, and now it had entered the official record, whether Dale liked it or not. If your heart is with Maya right now, please give this video a like for her courage. Maya stood in the rain, watched her father's evidence burn, and still refused to give up. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from, because who knows, someone near you might be watching Maya's story too. Callahan stepped back to the public side of the counter and faced Maya. "Miss Williams, I'm going to ask you to come to my office and give a full statement. Mrs. Price, I'd like you there as witness until we finish securing your video. After that, I suggest you both call an attorney." "I know one," Maya said quietly. Callahan nodded, as if he had expected that. "Naomi Bennett?" Maya looked at him sharply. His expression softened. "Your mother trusted her." The mention of Eleanor made Maya's throat tighten, but this time she did not look away. "Sheriff," she said, "my mother is gone. My father is in a cell, and the first proof I brought you is ash." Callahan's answer was low, meant for her but heard by everyone close enough to matter. "Then we treat the ash like proof too." Maya glanced once more at the evidence tray, at the melted drive and blackened scraps of paper. A few minutes earlier, that ash had looked like defeat. Now it looked like the first page of a new case. She followed Callahan toward his office with Gloria beside her, the wet soles of her shoes leaving faint red marks on the floor Dale had tried to push her out of. Behind them, Deputy Mercer stood alone in the hallway, watching the room turn against him one recorded second at a time. The statement took 47 minutes. Maya knew because the clock on Sheriff Callahan's office wall had a second hand that clicked too loudly, and she counted the sound whenever her voice wanted to break. She told him everything from the moment she walked through the front door to the moment Dale Mercer threw the bag into the fire. Gloria sat beside her, hands folded around her phone, correcting nothing because there was nothing to correct. Callahan wrote carefully, not like a man filling out routine paperwork, but like a man who understood every word might matter later. When Maya described the shove, his pen paused. When she described the USB burning, his jaw tightened. When she said Dale threatened to put her in cuffs if she came back, Callahan looked toward the closed door as if he could see through walls. "You said the drive held your father's alibi," he said. "Yes. Was there another copy?" Maya held his gaze. "I don't know. It was the truth. She didn't know where it was. But she knew how her mother operated. Eleanor Williams never left a critical trail in just one place, and the answer was waiting somewhere in what she left behind. Callahan seemed to understand what she was not saying. "All right." Gloria leaned forward. "Sheriff, what happens to Dale?" Callahan removed his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. "For now, he is off anything related to Isaiah Williams. His report, his evidence notes, his access to that file, all suspended until I finish reviewing what happened this morning." "For now?" Gloria repeated. "I have to do it clean, Mrs. Price. If I mishandle him, everything he touched gets harder to challenge. Men like Dale know how to hide behind procedure." Maya looked down at her hands. There was a red mark where the bag strap had scraped her skin. "My father doesn't have time for procedure." "I know." "No," Maya said, quieter but sharper. "You know because you get to go home tonight. He doesn't." The room went still. Gloria did not touch her this time. Callahan did not defend himself. After a moment, he said, "You're right." The answer disarmed her more than an argument would have. Callahan reached for the phone on his desk. "I'm calling the jail. You'll see your father before they close visitation." Maya's head lifted. "Today?" "Now." Dale Mercer was standing near the far end of the hallway when Maya stepped out of Callahan's office. He had not left the building. His arms were crossed, his face hard. But the lobby no longer belonged to him the way it had an hour earlier. Emily, the receptionist, would not look at him. Aaron Miller stood near the evidence tray with his shoulders squared, as if deciding what kind of deputy he wanted to become. Dale's eyes followed Maya. She did not look away. For a second, nobody moved. Then Gloria gave a soft click of her tongue, the kind older Southern women used when foolishness had finally become boring. "Come on, baby," she said. "Your daddy's waiting." The Pine Hollow County Jail sat behind the courthouse, low and square, with narrow windows and an old flag snapping in the wet wind. By the time Maya arrived, the rain had thinned into a gray mist. Gloria offered to come in with her, but Maya shook her head. "I need to see him alone first." Gloria squeezed her hand. "Then I'll be right here when you come out." Inside, the air smelled like bleach, damp concrete, and coffee left too long on a burner. A deputy at the desk checked Maya's ID twice, then glanced toward the back as though expecting someone to tell him not to let her in. No one did. Callahan had called ahead. A guard led her down a short hallway to the visitation room. The walls were painted a tired beige. The chairs were bolted to the floor. A thick glass partition divided the room, with old black phones hanging on either side. Isaiah Williams was already seated when Maya walked in. For a moment, she forgot how to breathe. Her father sat behind the glass in a harsh orange uniform that looked entirely foreign on his weathered, farmer's frame. Seeing him stripped of his dignity and locked away was a brutal reality check, but his eyes remained sharp. He picked up the phone first. Maya sat and lifted hers with both hands. Before she could say anything, Isaiah looked at her wet hair and tired face and said, "Did you eat?" The question nearly broke her. She gave a small, helpless laugh that turned into something close to a sob. "Daddy, I'm serious." Maya rose. "You get that look from your mama when you've been running on coffee and stubbornness." "I'm fine." "That wasn't my question." "No," she admitted. "I didn't eat." He nodded, like that was the first real piece of bad news he had heard all day. "When you leave here, get something warm. Not chips from a gas station. Real food." She pressed her lips together. "You're sitting in jail, and you're worried about my breakfast? I'm your father. They don't take that from me when they lock a door." Maya put her free hand against the glass. Isaiah lifted his on the other side, matching her palm. The glass was cold between them. "I brought them the video," she said. His eyes searched her face. "And?" She looked down. "Maya, Dale Mercer burned it." Isaiah did not react at first. His face remained still, but she saw the pain enter slowly, like water seeping under a door. "He took the bag," she continued, "threw it in a burn barrel, pushed me outside." Isaiah's hand tightened against the glass. "Did he hurt you?" "I'm okay." "That wasn't my question either." She swallowed. "He shoved me. That's all." Her father closed his eyes for 1 second. When he opened them, they were no longer tired. They were steady in the way fields looked after a storm. Flattened, but not dead. Who saw? Gloria Price. She recorded it. Sheriff Callahan saw the video. He reopened the case. Isaiah's brow lifted slightly. Tom Callahan? You know him? Everybody knows the sheriff. He knew Mama. Isaiah's expression shifted at that. It was not surprise exactly. More like an old memory had stepped into the room and taken a seat. He said she saved his life. She did, Isaiah said softly. Maya leaned closer. How? Her father looked past her for a moment, toward the beige wall, toward years Maya had never asked enough about when her mother was alive. Long time ago, he said. Before he was sheriff. Before folks around here decided he was respectable. He got himself blamed for something he didn't do. Your mama found the witness everybody else ignored, stood in a courtroom with half the county glaring at her, and made the truth sit up straight. What was the case? That's Tom's story to tell. But I'll tell you this much. He owes your mama more than a polite hello. Maya let that settle. Eleanor Williams had always been large in Maya's memory, but mostly as a mother, stirring grits, marking papers at the kitchen table, singing off-key in church, putting receipts in labeled envelopes. Maya knew she had been a lawyer. She knew people respected her. But there were parts of Eleanor the town still remembered better than her own daughter did. I don't know how to do this, Maya whispered. Fight like her. His face softened. Baby, your mama didn't fight because she wasn't scared. She fought because scared wasn't the boss of her. Maya looked at the red mark on her palm. I keep thinking, if I had held the bag tighter. No. If I had made copies before. Maya, if I had waited for Callahan instead of giving it to Dale. Maya rose. Listen to me. Isaiah's voice sharpened just enough to stop her. A man burns evidence because something is wrong with him, not because you handed it over wrong. She shut her eyes. He continued. Lower now. They want you blaming yourself. That way you spend your strength chewing on your own heart instead of watching their hands. The words struck deeper than comfort. They sounded like something Eleanor might have said, but in Isaiah's slower, earthier way. Maya opened her eyes. Do you think there's another copy? Isaiah was quiet. Daddy, your mother didn't trust this county, and she never trusted men in suits, Isaiah said, leaning closer to the glass. She hid the real files where people look every day but never actually see. Start in the kitchen, Maya. The pantry. Before Maya could ask more, a buzzer sounded overhead. The guard near the door glanced at the clock. 2 minutes, he said. Maya gripped the phone tighter. I'm going to get you out. Isaiah gave her a tired smile. I know you'll try. No, Daddy. I'm going to do it. His eyes shone then, but no tears fell. Isaiah Williams was old school that way. He had cried when Eleanor died, but only after everyone left the house and Maya found him in the barn with his hat in his hands. Then listen to me, he said. Don't go alone where you don't have to. Keep Mrs. Price close. Call Naomi Bennett. Maya looked up. You know Naomi too? Your mama trusted her. Callahan said the same thing. Then that's twice God gave you the name. The guard moved closer. Maya pressed her palm harder to the glass. I'm sorry the drive burned. Isaiah matched her hand again. Then, we thank God somebody saw the fire. The sentence held her still. It took the burned bag, the slammed door, the rain, the shame, and turned them into something else. Not victory. Not yet. But not defeat either. The guard touched the door. Time. Maya stood slowly, still holding the phone. Isaiah did not hang up right away. He looked at her with the calm command of a father sending his child back into weather. Eat something warm, he said. She nodded, laughing through the ache in her throat. Yes, sir. And Maya? Yes? Your name is Williams. Don't carry it small. The line clicked dead. Maya lowered the phone and walked out of the visitation room with her heart beating differently than when she had entered. Gloria was waiting in the lobby, purse on her arm, phone in hand, eyes sharp behind her glasses. Well? Gloria asked. Maya wiped her face once with her sleeve. We're going to the farm. To rest? Maya shook her head. To the kitchen. Gloria Price drove because Maya's hands were still shaking. Not the kind of shaking that made a person useless. The dangerous kind. The kind that came after fear had burned down and left anger standing in its place. Maya sat in the passenger seat of Gloria's Buick with her father's last words turning over and over in her mind. "Your name is Williams. Don't carry it small." The drive back to Williams' farm was dead silent. Maya stared out the passenger window, her knuckles white as her father's words replayed in her head. The moment Gloria's Buick screeched to a halt in front of the house, Maya was already out the door, driven by a sudden, desperate adrenaline. Gloria parked near the porch. "I'm coming in." Maya nodded. "I was hoping you would." Maya tore into the pantry, her hands moving frantically across the shelves. Cans of peaches and bags of flour were shoved aside until her fingers hit the top shelf, brushing against an old blue cookie tin hidden behind the staples. Her breath hitched. She worked her thumbnail under the edge and pried the metal lid open. Inside were no cookies, no thread, no recipes. There was a folded list of names, a rubber-banded stack of index cards, a torn piece of map, and several envelopes with no stamps. On top lay a small note in Eleanor's handwriting. "If they burn the first truth, find the second." Maya sat down before her knees could decide for her. Gloria leaned over her shoulder, then whispered, "Lord, have mercy." Maya touched the note with 2 fingers. Her mother's handwriting was neat, slanted, firm. Even on paper, Eleanor Williams sounded like someone who expected to be obeyed. Gloria pulled out a chair across from her. "Read what's there." Maya unfolded the list of names. Clara Benton, Harold Reed, Thomas Bell, Dorothy Mills, Gloria Price. Gloria's head came up. "Me?" Maya looked at her. "There's an envelope with your name on it." Gloria took it slowly, like it might cut her. The envelope was empty except for a small slip of paper. "Ask her about Nathaniel's report." Gloria's face changed. "Mrs. Price?" For a long moment, Gloria did not answer. She sat back, her hand pressed over the paper. "Nathaniel was my brother," she said finally. "He lost his place 6 years ago." Maya sat very still. "Lost it how?" Gloria's eyes moved toward the window, toward fields dark with rain and history. "The official story? He missed payments, mishandled insurance, got confused after a shed fire. That's what they said. And the real story?" Gloria's mouth tightened. "The real story is, your mother came to me before she died and asked for his paperwork." Maya felt the room tilt a little. "Mama was looking into this?" "She was looking into many things, child. Eleanor never knocked on a door unless she already knew the house was on fire." Maya reached for the torn map. It showed roads, property lines, dots marked in red pencil, but one corner was missing. There was no title, no explanation, just dates written beside some of the dots. "These names," Maya said, "are they all connected to fires?" Gloria looked at the list again. Some fires, some foreclosures, some accusations, some folks who just got tired and sold because fighting was too expensive. Maya stared at the paper. Her first instinct was to push it away. This was too much. Her father was in jail today. Dale had burned evidence today. She did not have room in her chest for 6 years of other people's grief. "I can't do this," she said. Gloria did not soften the truth. "You may not have the luxury." Maya stood abruptly, the chair legs scraping the floor. "No, I mean it. I can't." Mama could walk into a courtroom and make grown men forget their lies. Mama knew where to look. Mama knew what questions to ask. I walked into the sheriff's office with one bag and got thrown into the rain. Gloria rose too, slower but no less firm. "You also walked back in. Because Callahan showed up. Because you did not run." Maya turned away, pressing both hands against the counter. The old house seemed too full of Eleanor now. Her handwriting, her jars, her hidden tin, her unfinished fight. "I'm not my mother," Maya said. The words came out small, but they filled the kitchen. Gloria was quiet behind her. Then she said, "No, you are not." Maya closed her eyes. Gloria continued. "Eleanor Williams was one woman, a powerful one, yes, stubborn as a mule and twice as hard to move. But she was still one woman. Maybe what she left you was not a throne to sit in. Maybe it was a trail to follow with other people." A knock sounded at the front door. Maya turned sharply. Gloria reached into her purse, pulled out her phone, and pressed record without being asked. That small action steadied Maya more than any comforting words could have. The knock came again. "Maya?" A woman's voice called from the porch. "It's Naomi Bennett." Gloria lowered her phone an inch. "Well, twice God gave you the name, didn't he?" Maya opened the door. Naomi Bennett stood on the porch with a black umbrella, a leather satchel, and the composed expression of a woman who had learned long ago that panic rarely helped the innocent. She looked at Maya's face, then at Gloria, then at the open tin on the kitchen table. "I came as soon as I saw Mrs. Price's video," Naomi said. "And before you ask, yes, I made copies." Maya blinked. "Of the video?" "3 already." Naomi stepped inside and closed the umbrella. "One on my phone, one on my office drive, and one sent to a reporter I trust, in case somebody gets cute." Gloria gave a satisfied nod. "I like her." Naomi's eyes moved to the note on the table. Her face changed when she saw Eleanor's handwriting. "Where did you find that?" "Pantry," Maya said. "Daddy told me to start in the kitchen." Naomi approached the table, her eyes widening as she scanned the contents of the tin. "Eleanor called me 6 months before she passed, asking about witness protection and document preservation," Naomi whispered, looking up at Maya. "She wouldn't tell me why then. But looking at these names, she was building a case against this entire county." Naomi sat at the table and pulled a legal pad from her satchel. "We begin with the names." "Tonight?" Maya asked. "Tonight we organize. Tomorrow we visit whoever will open a door. We do not accuse. We ask. We copy. We compare. We keep everything twice." Maya looked at the list again. Clara Benton, Harold Reed, Thomas Bell, Dorothy Mills, Gloria Price. Names that had been waiting in a cookie tin while her father sat in a cell, and Dale Mercer walked around with a badge. "What if they're scared?" Maya asked. Gloria sat beside her. "Then we sit on their porches until scared gets tired." Naomi smiled faintly. "That is not a recognized legal strategy, Mrs. Price, but I have seen it work." For the first time that day, the kitchen held something besides fear. Maya picked up her mother's note again. "If they burn the first truth, find the second." She did not feel ready. She did not feel brave. She still felt like a daughter who wanted her father home and her mother alive to tell her what to do. But the bag had burned. Dale had made sure of that. And if Eleanor Williams had left a second truth, Maya could not leave it sitting in a tin behind canned peaches. She looked at Naomi. "We start with Clara Benton." Naomi nodded. At first light, Gloria reached across the table and covered Maya's hand with her own. "Then eat something before first light gets here. Your daddy told you that, didn't he?" Maya almost smiled. "He did. Good. Because justice on an empty stomach makes people mean." Naomi raised an eyebrow. "Justice is rarely polite anyway." Maya looked down at the names, the torn map, the note in her mother's hand, and felt the first thin thread of purpose pull through the grief. Outside, the fields lay wet and dark beneath the Georgia sky. Inside, 3 women sat at Eleanor Williams's kitchen table and began sorting ashes into evidence. By first light, the kitchen table was buried under Eleanor's sorted files. Names, dates, and the torn map with its cryptic red pencil marks. Maya forced down a quick breakfast under Gloria and Naomi's watchful eyes, her mind completely locked onto the task ahead. Clara Benton's name sat at the top of the list. Naomi tapped the paper with her pen. "We ask questions. We do not lead her. We do not tell her what we think happened. We let her tell us what she remembers." Gloria poured coffee into a travel mug. "And if she refuses, then we leave politely," Naomi said. Gloria gave her a look. "You're a lawyer, so I respect that answer. But I taught 6th grade for 37 years. If an old woman opens the door 2 inches, she wants to talk. She just wants to know whether you're safe enough to talk to." Maya folded the list and put it into her jacket pocket. "Was Mama safe enough?" Gloria's expression softened. "Your mama had a way of making folks feel like they had already been believed before they said a word." That stayed with Maya as they drove. They drove 15 miles east to a secluded, weathered house off a narrow county lane. Before Maya even hit the top step of the porch, the front door clicked open, revealing Clara Benton, a woman in her 70s with sharp, guarded eyes. "You favor your mama," Clara said. Maya had heard that twice in 2 days, and each time it landed differently. From Callahan, it had opened a door. From Clara, it opened a wound. Yes, ma'am, Maya said. That's what people tell me. Clara looked toward Naomi. You a lawyer? I am. Naomi Bennett. I was a friend of Eleanor's. Lawyers make simple things expensive. They do, Naomi said. I try not to. Clara studied her for another second, then stepped back. Come in before the neighbors decide my business is theirs. Clara ushered them straight into her kitchen. Maya sat at the table, taking out her notebook as Clara poured hot water into teacups with noticeably trembling hands. Mrs. Benton, my mother left your name in a box, Maya said. Clara's hand stopped over the teacups. She also wrote, ask the families what happened before the fires. The kitchen changed. Not visibly, exactly. The kettle still steamed. The clock still ticked. But Clara Benton seemed to move somewhere far away without leaving the room. Eleanor said she wouldn't put my name where folks could find it, Clara said. She hid it well, Maya replied. Clara poured tea with careful hands. Your mama came here twice. First time, I sent her away. Second time, she brought pound cake. Gloria nodded. Smart woman. I still didn't want to talk, Clara said. But she sat on that porch like she had all the time God made. Naomi opened her river pad. Mrs. Benton, we are trying to understand what happened to your husband's property. Only what you are comfortable telling us. Dove. Clara sat across from Maya. For a while, she looked not at Naomi, but at the girl whose mother had once waited on her porch. Henry owned 12 acres off Miller Road, she said. Not much to rich folks. Everything to us. His daddy bought the first 4 acres after coming back from Korea. Henry added the rest, working 30 years at the feed mill. Maya wrote carefully. About 7 years ago, a man came by offering to buy it. Said the county was growing. Said we were getting older and should take the money while the land still had value. Henry told him the land would have value as long as Benton blood remembered where home was. Do you remember the man's name? Naomi asked. Clara shook her head. He left a card. I threw it away after everything happened. Maybe I shouldn't have. You were living your life, Gloria said. You weren't building a case. Clara's mouth tightened. No. Eleanor said something like that. What happened after Henry refused? Maya asked. Clara looked toward the framed photograph in the living room. Little things. Mail went missing. Insurance letters came late. A county inspector said our old shed was a hazard, though it had been standing longer than he'd been breathing. Henry got pulled over twice in 1 week for a tail light that wasn't broken. Maya's pen slowed. Then the shed burned, Clara said. No one interrupted her. It was a storage shed, not the house. Thank God for that. But Henry kept tools in there, some old equipment, paint, gas for the mower. They said he must have done it for insurance. She gave a dry laugh. There wasn't enough insurance on that shed to buy a decent used truck. Who investigated? Naomi asked. Clara's eyes dropped to her teacup. Maya already knew the answer before she said it. Deputy Mercer. The name sat between them like something sour. Clara continued. He came out, looked around maybe 10 minutes, and started asking Henry why a man his age needed all that land. Said accidents happen when old folks get desperate. Henry told him to get off our property. And after that, the report said there were signs of intentional burning. Insurance froze the claim. The bank said the missed insurance payout affected our loan standing. Fees started showing up. Letters came with words we didn't understand. Henry tried to fight it, but every office sent him to another office. Naomi's pen moved steadily. Did you have an attorney? With what money? Maya felt that answer in her chest. Clara rose slowly and went to a cabinet above the refrigerator. She took down a blue cookie tin, the same kind Eleanor had used, and set it on the table. I kept some papers, she said. Not all. Looking at them made Henry sick, so I put them away. Inside were folded letters, old envelopes, a fire report, an insurance notice, and a copy of a sale agreement with Clara's signature and Henry's shaky initials at the bottom. Maya did not touch anything until Naomi nodded. Then she lifted the fire report. Deputy Dale Mercer's name was printed near the bottom. Her stomach tightened, but she kept her face still. Naomi leaned closer. Mrs. Benton, who bought the land? Clara slid over the sale agreement. Some company, Hollow Creek Holdings. Never heard of them before. They paid less than half what Henry said the place was worth. But by then, Henry couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't stand another letter with red print on it. Her voice cracked for the first time. He signed because he thought if he didn't, they'd take the house too. Gloria reached across the table and covered Clara's hand. Maya looked at the sale agreement, then at the dates in her mother's list. Eleanor had written Clara Benton's name beside 3 numbers. Now 2 of them made sense: the date of the fire and the date of the sale. The 3rd date remained unexplained. "What is this one?" Maya asked, pointing to her mother's note. August 14. Clara frowned. "That was after the sale. Do you know what happened then?" Clara looked away. "Henry died that morning." The kitchen went quiet. Maya's pen stopped completely. "He sat right there," Clara said, pointing to the chair beside the window. "Coffee got cold in front of him. I thought he was sleeping. Doctor said heart. I said shame. Shame can stop a heart too. I don't care what a doctor writes." Maya could not speak. She had come for facts. She found grief with dates attached. Clara wiped her eyes once, angry at the tears. "Your mama came 3 weeks later. She said she couldn't undo what happened, but she could make sure Henry's name didn't disappear under their paperwork." Maya looked down at the report in her hands. "My father is in jail because they say he burned our barn," she said. "I know." Maya looked up. "You heard?" Everybody heard. Pine Hollow feeds on trouble faster than Sunday dinner. Clara's eyes hardened. "But when I saw Gloria's video, I knew. Same tone, same look, same way that man talks like your pain is a mess on his floor." Naomi took out her phone. "Mrs. Benton, may I scan these?" Clara hesitated. Maya said, "We'll make copies and give everything back. We won't keep the only set." Something in that promise mattered. Clara nodded. As Naomi scanned the documents, Gloria helped Clara find more papers tucked inside envelopes. Maya copied dates into her notebook, each one making the story less like memory and more like a pattern. Before they left, Clara walked them to the porch. The morning had warmed slightly, and water dripped from the roof in slow, steady beats. "You tell Isaiah. I'm praying for him," Clara said. "I will," Maya replied. "And you tell him not to let them make him feel small." Maya nodded, but Clara was not finished. She stepped closer and pressed a folded paper into Maya's hand. "Your mama gave me this before she left the last time. Said if her girl ever came asking, I should return it." Maya unfolded it only after they reached the car. It was a photocopy of a map piece, a missing corner. There, in Eleanor's handwriting, were 2 words beside Clara Benton's old property. "First fire." Maya looked back at Clara's house, then down at the paper. Gloria got behind the wheel. Naomi sat in the back, already reviewing the scans. Maya held the map piece against the torn map from the tin. It fit. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough to make the red dots begin to speak. She looked at the next name on the list, Harold Reed, and for the first time, Maya understood that her mother had not left her a mystery. She had left her witnesses. The Buick bounced down a rugged county road as Maya tightly gripped Clara Benton's map piece. They pulled up to a small trailer with a wooden ramp, and Harold Reed was already at the door before they could even step out of the car. He was tall, thin, and stooped in one shoulder, with skin the color of old walnut and eyes that seemed to measure distance before trust. He wore a faded army cap and held a cane in one hand. "I saw the car from the window," he said. "If you're selling insurance, salvation, or politics, I'm too old for all 3. Gloria climbed the first step. "Harold Reed, don't start with me. It's Gloria Price." His eyes softened, though his mouth did not. "Gloria, you still correcting grown folks for free? Only the ones who need it." He looked past her to Maya. His face changed the moment he recognized her. "You're Eleanor's girl." "Yes, sir. Maya Williams. I saw that video." His jaw worked once. "Mercer put hands on you?" He shoved me. Harold's fingers tightened around the cane. "A uniform makes cowards feel tall." Naomi stepped forward. "Mr. Reed, we're trying to understand why Eleanor kept your name in her records." Harold looked at the satchel in her hand. Lawyer? Yes. You charging her? No. Good. Come in. They stepped into the clean, cramped living room. Harold didn't offer pleasantries. His eyes immediately locked onto Naomi's legal pad. Mr. Reed, Eleanor wrote your name beside 2 dates, May 3 and October 19. She also wrote B.R., Naomi said. Harold's eyes moved to a flag case on the wall. Barn report, he said. Naomi's pen paused. Not Bronze Star? A dry smile crossed his face. Got one of those too. Didn't help me keep my land. Maya leaned forward. What happened? Harold took his time lowering himself into a recliner. I had 20 acres off Old Mill Road, he said. My sister and I inherited it from our mother. Good land. Not fancy, but good. Had a barn, a workshop, a patch for collards, and a pond full of fish, too smart to bite, Gloria murmured. That pond was legendary. Legendary because I lied about the size of the fish. Harold looked at Maya. Man came around wanting to buy. Said somebody was putting money into the county. Said I could move closer to town. Get a place with less upkeep. I told him I didn't survive a war to get talked off my mama's dirt by a man with soft hands. Do you remember his name? Naomi asked. He gave me a card. I didn't keep it. Wore a gray suit, drove a black truck, smiled like a preacher, asking for money. What happened after you refused? Harold's face went still. Inspection. Tax letter. Then I got stopped 3 times in a month. Once for crossing the center line, which I didn't. Once for expired registration, which wasn't expired. Once, because Mercer said my trailer hitch blocked the plate. Maya felt that name enter the room like a bad smell. Then the barn burned? She asked. Not all of it. Corner caught. Fire department came fast. Could have been worse. His mouth tightened. Mercer wrote that I had stored fuel improperly, and the fire pattern suggested negligence. Insurance delayed payment. Bank called the place a risk. I said there was a witness saw a black truck near the road that night. That witness never made it into the report. Naomi looked up sharply. Who was the witness? Eddie Shaw. Ran a bait shop back then. Dead now. Gloria closed her eyes briefly. Harold reached beside his chair and pulled out a metal lockbox. Eleanor told me to keep copies. I told her I was tired of paper. She said, tired men are the ones paperwork kills first. He opened the box and took out a folder thick with age. Maya accepted it carefully. Inside were photographs of a charred barn corner, a fire report, traffic citations, letters from the bank, and a handwritten statement signed by Eddie Shaw. The statement said he had seen a dark truck parked near Harold's property at 1:20 a.m. the night of the fire. Maya looked at the official report. No witness listed. Naomi took a slow breath. May I scan these? Harold nodded. That's why I kept them. Maya turned the pages until she found Dale Mercer's name. It appeared on the fire report and 2 of the traffic citations. She set the paper down, not because it surprised her, but because it did not. That's 2, she said quietly. Naomi understood. 2 properties, 2 fires, same deputy. Harold heard her. You'll find more. Maya looked up. How do you know? Because men like Mercer don't sharpen a knife for one cut. The next name was Thomas Bell. He lived 20 minutes away. But unlike Clara and Harold, he did not invite them in. He opened his door only as far as the chain allowed and stared at them with tired, red-rimmed eyes. No, he said when Maya introduced herself. Mr. Bell, my mother left your name, Maya said. Your mother came too late. The words struck hard. Gloria stepped forward. Thomas, this girl's father is sitting in jail. Then she ought to be at the jail, not here waking up dead things. Maya held the folder close to her chest. I'm sorry. Thomas started to close the door. Maya spoke quickly. She wrote your brother's name too, didn't she? The door stopped. Thomas looked through the gap. What name? Maya checked Eleanor's index card. Samuel Bell. For a long moment, Thomas did not move. Then the chain slid free. Inside, the air was heavy with stale coffee. Thomas stood in the center of the room, speaking in short, brutal fragments. Samuel owned 8 acres by the creek, he said. He wouldn't sell. Then his storage shed burned. They said he did it drunk. Sam hadn't touched liquor in 12 years. Who said he did? Naomi asked. Report did. Mercer did. Folks who never sat with him did. Maya listened as Thomas spoke in short, bitter pieces. Samuel had been charged, pressured, humiliated. The charges were later dropped, but the damage was done. He sold the land to pay legal bills and moved in with Thomas. 6 months later, he died of a stroke. Thomas handed Maya one paper. That's all I got. Eleanor made the other copies. It was a receipt showing Samuel had paid for electrical repairs 2 days before the fire, contradicting the claim that faulty wiring had been ignored for months. Naomi photographed it. Thomas watched Maya the entire time. You look like her, but looking like Eleanor won't keep you safe. Maya met his eyes. I'm starting to understand that. No, he said. You're not, but you will. They left with the receipt and the weight of words no one knew how to answer. Dorothy Mills was the last stop of the day. Dorothy Mills, their final stop, ushered them into her kitchen without a word of introduction, as if she had been expecting them all along. My husband, Leonard, paid every bill on time for 40 years, Dorothy said once they sat. Then one day the bank said our insurance documents were incomplete. Then the county said our back pasture had a violation. Then a deputy came asking Leonard questions like he was a criminal. Mercer? Maya asked. Dorothy nodded. Mercer. Was there a fire? No, not for us. Dorothy folded her hands. For us, it was papers. Missing papers. Late papers. Papers we had copies of, but they said were the wrong copies. Leonard used to say we were being buried without dirt. Gloria looked down at her plate. Dorothy opened a drawer and removed a large envelope. Eleanor told me if anything happened to her, and if Maya ever asked, I should tell the truth plain. What truth? Maya asked. Dorothy's eyes filled, but her voice remained clear. We sold because we were tired, not because we wanted to, not because the price was fair, not because the land stopped being home. We sold because every office in this county made keeping it feel like sin. Maya wrote the words down exactly. Before they left, Dorothy gave them copies of notices, bank letters, and a business card from the company that bought their pasture. Naomi slid it into a separate folder. Maya noticed the company name was different from Clara's and Harold's. Another harmless-sounding name. Another mask. By the time they returned to the car, the sun was low and orange behind the pines. Maya spread the new papers across her lap, while Naomi compared dates in the back seat. Clara had a fire. Harold had a fire. Thomas's brother had a fire. Dorothy had no fire, but the same pressure. Different properties. Different stories. Same fear. Same kind of paperwork. Same deputy appearing too often where families lost too much. Gloria started the engine, but did not pull away. You all right? She asked. Maya looked at the stack of documents. No. Naomi leaned forward. That may be the most reasonable thing you've said all day. Maya turned the business cards over one by one. Hollow Creek Holdings, Pine Ridge Partners, Southline Property Services. Different names, different addresses. Nothing obvious. Yet Eleanor had put them on the same list. Maya thought of her father behind glass. Clara's Henry dying at the kitchen table. Harold's missing witness. Samuel Bell, called drunk, after 12 sober years. Dorothy saying they were buried without dirt. She didn't leave me a mystery, Maya said. Gloria looked at her. She left me witnesses. Naomi nodded slowly. And witnesses become powerful when their stories start matching. Maya stared out at the darkening road. Somewhere in Pine Hollow, invisible hands were still moving, freezing accounts, burying reports, turning good names into ash before anyone knew to save them. And now Maya had begun collecting what the fire missed. Before sunrise, Maya found a plain white envelope taped to the back door. Inside was a photograph of the farm taken last night, showing her, Gloria, and Naomi huddled over Eleanor's files through the glowing kitchen window. On the back, written in black marker, "Stop asking old people old questions." Naomi immediately took it, slipping it into a plastic sleeve. "Don't touch it. We treat this threat exactly like evidence." Naomi slipped the photograph into a plastic sleeve from her satchel. "This is meant to make us stop before we know who we're looking at." Maya's phone rang before she could answer. The number belonged to the farm supply store in town. She put it on speaker. Maya Williams? A man asked. This is Maya. This is Roy over at Pine Hollow Feed and Seed. I hate to do this, but we can't deliver your order today. Maya frowned. Why not? That seed was paid for last week. I know, and I'm sorry. Your account got flagged. Flagged by who? Roy's voice dropped. Credit hold. Insurance risk. I don't know all the details. The system says no delivery until it clears. Naomi's eyes narrowed. Maya gripped the phone. Roy, we need that seed. I know you do. My father's not here. We're already behind. There was a pause. Roy sounded ashamed when he spoke again. Maya, I've known your daddy 30 years. This isn't me. But if I release that order against a hold, I lose my supplier account. I got 6 employees. Maya closed her eyes. Gloria spoke toward the phone. Roy Campbell, shame is going to sit badly with your breakfast. Yes, ma'am, Roy said quietly. It already is. He hung up. The threat wasn't just physical. It was financial. Seconds later, Naomi's phone buzzed with a message from her landlord, a formal complaint about unauthorized client meetings after hours. They were hitting their credit, their supplies, and their legal counsel all at once. Before any of them could speak, Gloria's phone rang. She checked the screen. Her expression changed. It's my neighbor, she answered. Evelyn? What's wrong? Maya watched Gloria listen. The older woman's face went from irritation to stone. When? Gloria asked. No, don't touch it. I'm coming. She hung up. Naomi said, What happened? Somebody left a picture of my house in my mailbox. Taken from across the street. Same kind of envelope. Maya's stomach turned. Mrs. Price, I'm sorry. Gloria looked at her sharply. Don't you dare apologize for somebody else's sin. But they're doing it because of me. No, they're doing it because they are afraid of the truth. There's a difference. The words steadied Maya, but only a little. By noon, the pressure escalated. The jail unexpectedly transferred Isaiah to another housing unit, refusing to give details. Naomi bypassed the clerk and dialed Sheriff Callahan directly. He answered on the second ring. Bennett, Sheriff, Isaiah Williams has been moved without notice. I want his location and condition confirmed now. I didn't authorize a transfer. Maya stepped closer. Callahan's voice changed. When did this happen? According to the jail, this morning. I'll call you back in 10 minutes. He did it in 7. He's still in county custody, Callahan said, moved from holding corridor B to C. They're calling it crowd management. Is he safe? Maya asked. There was the slightest pause. I am going there myself. That pause was worse than a no. Naomi heard it too. Sheriff, if anything happens to my client's father after a deputy in your office burned evidence, this county will not survive the lawsuit. I understand. No, Naomi said. You appreciate risk. Understanding comes later. Callahan did not argue. I'll call from the jail. This is not Dale alone, Naomi said. Maya looked up. Naomi was standing over the table where they had spread the records from Clara, Harold, Thomas, and Dorothy. A deputy can threaten. A deputy can lie in a report. A deputy can shove a girl and burn a bag. But freezing a farm account? Flagging supply orders? Pressuring my landlord? Moving a detainee without notice? Sending photographs to witnesses on the same morning? That is coordination. From who? Maya asked. Naomi tapped one of the business cards Dorothy had given them. That is what we do not know yet. The business cards were laid out in a row. Hollow Creek Holdings, Pine Ridge Partners, Southline Property Services, 3 different company names, 3 different addresses, all bland enough to disappear in a filing cabinet. Gloria picked one up with 2 fingers. These names sound like subdivisions nobody asked for. Naomi almost smiled. That may be the point. Maya stared at the cards until the letters blurred. Dale Mercer had a face, a voice, hands that shoved. But this was worse. This had no face. This moved through phone calls, holds, warnings, policies, signatures, and locked doors. It did not need to yell. It could whisper into systems and make a family's life stop. Her own phone buzzed. Unknown number. Naomi held out her hand. Let it go to voicemail. Maya did. A notification appeared a few seconds later. She played it on speaker. The voice was distorted, low and rough. Maybe a man. Maybe someone trying to sound like one. Tell Isaiah to take what's offered. Stop digging, or he won't make it to trial. The room went silent. Gloria closed her eyes once, then opened them with fury in them. Naomi reached for the phone. Send me that file. Maya did, her thumb shaking. Do we call Callahan? Gloria asked. Yes, Naomi said. And I send a copy to someone outside Pine Hollow. Maya looked at her. Who? A state investigator I trust enough to annoy, not enough to depend on yet. Gloria nodded. That sounds about right for government. Naomi's office door opened before anyone knocked. A young deputy stood there, breathing a little too fast. Aaron Miller. Maya straightened. Gloria immediately lifted her phone. Aaron raised both hands. I'm not here for trouble. Naomi stepped between him and the table. Then explain why you're here uninvited. Aaron looked toward the hallway behind him, then lowered his voice. Sheriff Callahan told me to bring copies of the lobby footage to you. Official copies are still in evidence, but he said Miss Williams should have counsel review these. Naomi did not move. Put them on the desk. Aaron placed a sealed envelope down. Maya watched him. He looked younger than he had at the sheriff's office, or maybe just more afraid. He turned to leave, then stopped. Miss Williams? Maya said nothing. Aaron swallowed. I was in the building yesterday, before the fire report on your father was finalized. Naomi's attention sharpened. Aaron glanced at the records on the table, then back at Maya. I'm not saying anything yet. I need to think. Gloria gave a short, humorless laugh. Son, thinking is what people say when their conscience is fighting their paycheck. Aaron looked ashamed. Yes, ma'am. What did you see? Maya asked. He shook his head. Not here. Naomi stepped closer. Deputy Miller, if you have information about fabricated evidence or misconduct, silence will not protect you. I know. His voice cracked slightly. But Mercer has friends. Naomi held his gaze. So do we. Aaron looked at Maya then. Really looked at her. I'm sorry about what he did to you, he said. Maya's answer came colder than she expected. Sorry doesn't open my father's cell. No, Aaron said. But maybe the truth will. He left before anyone could stop him. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Gloria pointed at the closed door. That boy knows something. Naomi picked up the sealed envelope of footage. Yes, and he is scared enough that whatever he knows matters. Maya returned to the table and looked again at the business cards. Different names, different families, different kinds of pressure. The same invisible hand squeezing all of them. Outside Naomi's office window, Pine Hollow looked ordinary. A mail truck rolled past. 2 older men stood outside the diner arguing about football. A church van turned slowly at the light. Life kept moving, as if nothing had shifted, but Maya could feel it now. Something under the town had noticed her, and it was pushing back. Naomi did not open Aaron Miller's envelope right away. She placed it on the desk beside the anonymous photographs, the business cards, and the thin stack of records that had already begun to look heavier than paper should. For nearly a full minute, nobody touched anything. The sealed envelope sat there like a question that might cut the hand brave enough to answer it. Maya finally said, "Why aren't we watching it?" Naomi looked through the blinds at the street below her office. Because footage of Dale burning your bag confirms what we already know. It helps us, yes, but it doesn't tell us who froze your account, who threatened your father, or why all these families ended up losing land after trouble found them. Gloria sat near the window with her purse on her lap. Then what does? Naomi turned back to the desk and picked up the 3 business cards Dorothy Mills had given them. Paperwork. Boring. Ugly. Blessed. Paperwork. Maya rubbed her tired eyes. I thought paperwork was how they buried people. It is, Naomi said. But graves still have edges if you know where to dig. That was how they ended up at the Pine Hollow County Records Office just before closing, with Gloria walking ahead like a woman prepared to shame a locked door into opening. The office sat on the first floor of the courthouse annex, where the air always smelled faintly of dust, toner, and somebody's reheated lunch. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Behind the counter, shelves of deed books rose in rows, old and heavy, their cracked spines labeled by year. A gray-haired clerk looked up from her computer and frowned politely. "We close in 20 minutes. Gloria leaned on the counter. "Evelyn Harper, I have known you since you wore saddle shoes to Sunday school. Don't start with me." The clerk blinked, then leaned forward. "Gloria Price, in the flesh, though the flesh is tired." Evelyn Harper's face softened, but only a little. She was a thin woman in her late 60s with reading glasses hanging from a chain around her neck and the guarded patience of someone who had spent 30 years telling people where forms were while they blamed her for the forms. "Existing. What do you need?" Evelyn asked. Naomi stepped forward. "Property transfer records for several parcels. We have names, approximate dates, and possible buying entities." Evelyn looked at Naomi's satchel. "You're an attorney." "I am. That means this will take more than 20 minutes. Probably." Evelyn sighed, then reached under the counter and flipped the sign on the door from open to closed. "If anybody asks, I was never this kind." Gloria smiled. "You were always this kind. You just hid it under procedure." Evelyn led them to a public terminal and an old scanning station. Naomi handed over the names carefully. Clara Benton, Harold Reed, Samuel Bell, Dorothy Mills. Then the companies: Hollow Creek Holdings, Pine Ridge Partners, Southline Property Services. At first, nothing fit cleanly. Hollow Creek Holdings had purchased Clara Benton's property, then transferred it 18 months later to a company called HCH Asset Management. Pine Ridge Partners had acquired Harold Reed's land through a trustee sale, and then leased it to something called County Line Commercial Access LLC. Southline Property Services had not held Dorothy's pasture at all, at least not on the surface. It had arranged the transaction, collected fees, then vanished from the chain. Maya stared at the screen until the words began to feel designed to exhaust her. "They make it so nobody normal can follow it," she said. Evelyn, standing behind them, answered before Naomi could. "That is often the purpose." Maya looked up. The clerk pressed her lips together, as if deciding whether age had finally made caution less important than truth. "Most folks think ownership is a name on a deed. These days it can be 5 companies, 3 mailing addresses, and a lawyer in Atlanta who never set foot on the property." Naomi pointed to the screen. "Can you pull the management filings on County Line Commercial Access?" Evelyn nodded. "State Business Registry might show agent information." She typed with quick, practiced fingers. The page loaded slowly. A registered agent appeared. "Whitmore and Lane Development Council." Naomi went still. Maya noticed. "What is it?" Naomi did not answer immediately. She took the mouse and opened another file from Southline Property Services. Same registered agent. Then, Hollow Creek's later transfer. Same firm. Then Pine Ridge. Same firm. Gloria leaned over Maya's shoulder. "I don't know much about corporations, but even I know when the same fox keeps signing for different hen houses." Naomi wrote the firm name on her legal pad. "Whitmore and Lane does land acquisition work. Regional development projects, commercial corridors, industrial parks." Maya's stomach tightened. "Commercial corridors? Road access, warehouses, retail centers, medical complexes, things counties call progress." Evelyn looked toward the closed office door, then lowered her voice. "There's a packet in the planning office. Not official yet. A proposal for the East Side growth route. People have been whispering about it for months." Naomi turned to her. "Can you access it?" "No. Planning office keeps its own files." Gloria gave her a look. Evelyn lifted one hand. "I said I can't access it. I didn't say nobody left a copy in the wrong shared folder." For the first time all day, Naomi smiled like a lawyer who had just heard music. Evelyn typed again. Several folders opened, most labeled with dull county language: drainage, traffic impact, rural access study, economic development forecast. Then one file appeared with a name that made Naomi lean closer. Pine Hollow Future Access, Preliminary Route. Evelyn hesitated. "This may not be approved for public release." Naomi's voice stayed calm. "Is it in a public county system?" "It is in a shared internal folder." "That was not my question." Evelyn exhaled and opened it. A map filled the screen. At first, Maya saw only colored lines and parcel numbers. A blue route curved through the eastern part of Pine Hollow County, crossing roads she knew, creeks she had driven over, fields she had passed all her life without thinking of them as anything but land, where people lived, worked, buried dogs, raised children, planted tomatoes, argued about property lines, and waved from porches. Naomi pulled Eleanor's torn map from the folder and spread it on the desk beside the monitor. The red dots were not random anymore. Clara Benton's old property sat near the beginning of the blue route. Harold Reed's land marked a bend. Samuel Bell's creek parcel lay beside a planned access road. Dorothy Mills's pasture touched a widening zone labeled commercial frontage. Maya's pulse began to pound. "Wait," she said. "Zoom toward County Road 6. Evelyn zoomed. The route shifted across the screen, and there it was. Williams Farm, not labeled by name, just parcel numbers. But Maya knew the shape of her family's land, the way she knew the lines in her own palm. The backfield, the low creek edge, the road frontage. The burned barn sat near a marked access spur. For a moment, nobody spoke. Gloria's hand found the back of a chair. Naomi whispered, "Eleanor, what did you find?" Maya could not look away from the screen. In her mind, the barn fire stopped being a terrible night and became a point on a line. Her father's arrest stopped being one cruel accusation and became pressure. Clara, Harold, Samuel, Dorothy, Gloria's brother Nathaniel, all those names stopped floating separately and began to lock into place. Evelyn clicked on the project information panel. The developer field read, Langford Development Group. Maya repeated it softly. Langford. Naomi wrote the name down, underlined it once, then again. Gloria's voice was low. "Never heard of them. That is how companies like that prefer it until ribbon-cutting day," Naomi said. Maya pointed to the registered agent line. Whitmore and Lane. That name showed up on the smaller companies. Yes. So Hollow Creek, Pine Ridge, South Line. Maybe separate masks on the same face, Naomi said. "We do not say that publicly yet. We prove it." Evelyn stepped back from the terminal. "I should not have opened this." Gloria looked at her. "You opened a file, Evelyn. If a file tells the truth, that's not your sin." Evelyn's face tightened. "You don't understand. People lose jobs for less around here." Maya turned to her. "People lost land." The words came out sharper than she intended. Evelyn looked wounded, and Maya regretted it immediately. "I'm sorry. I know you're helping us." Evelyn nodded, but her eyes had grown wet. "My husband used to say Pine Hollow was small enough that everybody knew everybody. But lately, it feels small enough that somebody can reach everybody." Naomi saved copies of the public records they were allowed to print. For the map, Evelyn would not print directly. Instead, she wrote down the file path and parcel numbers in tight, careful handwriting, then slid the paper to Naomi. "I didn't give you this," she said. Naomi folded it once. "No, ma'am." Evelyn gathered the deed copies, then paused. "There's a public hearing tomorrow night. County Hall. Langford's people are presenting the project as a jobs package." Maya looked up. "Tomorrow?" Evelyn nodded. "Most folks won't know what they're actually looking at. They'll hear jobs, clinic, road improvements. They won't hear names like Benton, Reed, Bell, Mills." Gloria's jaw set. "Then maybe they need to." Naomi put the copies into her satchel. "Not yet. If we walk in with half a map and a handful of grief, they will call it emotion. We need the missing center." "The missing center is my father," Maya said. Naomi looked at her. "And your mother knew that." They left through the side door because Evelyn said the front cameras had a habit of being reviewed when certain people wanted to know who came and went. Outside, evening had settled over Pine Hollow, orange light fading behind the courthouse roof. Across the street, the diner windows glowed warm. Two old men sat on a bench, talking baseball like the world had not shifted under their feet. Maya stood on the sidewalk holding the folder against her chest. Langford Development Group. The name meant nothing to her that morning. Now it sat behind the fires, the papers, the pressure, the purchases, the route, and maybe her father's cell. Gloria touched Maya's shoulder. "You all right?" Maya looked toward the courthouse. then toward the road home. "No," she said, "but I know where the line goes now." Naomi's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and frowned. "What?" Maya asked. "Unknown number," Naomi said. The message contained no words, only a photo. Naomi's own office door, taken from across the street less than an hour earlier. Below it, one sentence. "You are reading the wrong files." Gloria read it and gave a humorless laugh. "Sounds to me like we found the right ones." Maya looked back at the dark courthouse windows. For the first time, the enemy had a name. And somewhere behind that name, someone had just noticed they were getting close. They drove back to William's farm without turning on the radio. Naomi sat in the back seat with the folder open across her knees, reading the county file path again and again, as if repetition could make the danger smaller. Gloria drove with both hands on the wheel, eyes moving from the road to the rearview mirror every few seconds. Maya noticed each glance. "Are we being followed?" she asked. Gloria did not answer right away. "A black pickup has been 2 turns behind us since the courthouse." Naomi looked up. Maya turned slightly, but Gloria said, "Don't make it obvious." Maya faced forward again, heart tightening. The evening road stretched ahead in a ribbon of gray, bordered by dark pines and wet ditches. Every porch light they passed looked too far away to help. Every bend in the road felt like a place where something could be waiting. At the next intersection, Gloria slowed, put on her blinker, then turned left instead of right. Maya frowned. "Home is the other way. I know where your house is, baby." The black pickup continued past the intersection. Gloria watched it in the mirror until its taillights disappeared. Could be nothing. Naomi slipped the Langford records into her satchel. Nothing has been very busy lately. Gloria drove a long loop through the west side of town before heading back toward the farm. By the time they reached the gravel drive, the last orange light had drained from the sky. The house looked dark, except for the small lamp over the kitchen sink, the one Maya had left on because Eleanor always said a house should never greet its people blind. Inside, the kitchen table was still covered with copies, notes, and Eleanor's tin box. The air held the faint smell of coffee, old paper, and rain-damp clothes. Maya locked the back door, then the front. Gloria checked the curtains. Naomi set her satchel on a chair but did not sit. "We need to decide what happens next," Naomi said. Maya pulled out the chair at the head of the table but stayed standing behind it. "We know Langford connects to the project. We know those little companies connect back to the same law firm. We know the route runs through every family Mama listed. We suspect," Naomi corrected gently. "We know enough to keep digging. We do not yet know enough to win." Gloria took off her coat. "Lawyers do love starving a good sentence." Naomi gave her a tired look. "Judges prefer facts over thunder. Then we bring both." Maya looked toward the pantry, then toward the living room beyond the kitchen. "Daddy said start in the kitchen." "We did, but Mama didn't leave the whole answer in that tin." Naomi's gaze followed hers. "What else did your mother keep?" "Ordinary." The question moved through the house like a hand passing over old furniture. Maya walked into the living room. It was the room she avoided most since Eleanor died. Not because it looked sad, but because it looked normal. The old sofa still sagged in the middle. A basket of church fans sat beside the bookshelf. Family photographs lined the mantel. Eleanor's reading glasses rested in a small ceramic dish, though no one had used them in 2 years. On the side table beside her mother's chair lay the worn Bible with the cracked brown cover. Maya stopped. Gloria and Naomi stood behind her in the doorway. "That Bible has been there forever," Gloria said, softly. Maya nodded. "She read it every morning." "Did she mark things in it?" Naomi asked. "Everything. Verses, dates, grocery reminders, phone numbers, funeral programs. Mama treated that Bible like it was a filing cabinet with God watching." Maya picked it up with both hands. The cover was soft from years of use, the edges of the pages thin and wavy. A folded church bulletin slipped out and landed on the floor. She picked it up. It was from Street. Mark, dated 3 months before Eleanor died. On the back, in Eleanor's handwriting, was one line. "What careless people see every day, they stop seeing." Maya read it aloud. Gloria whispered, "That woman." Naomi pulled a chair closer. Set it on the table. Maya carried the Bible back to the kitchen and placed it beside the tin box. Her fingers hesitated before opening it. She did not know why. Maybe because opening the tin had felt like finding a trail. Opening this felt like touching her mother's pulse. The first pages held names of births and deaths. Eleanor had written them neatly. Maya's birth date, Isaiah's baptism. The date, Eleanor passed the bar exam. The date, her mother died. Tucked between Psalms and Proverbs were old funeral programs and a pressed flower that crumbled slightly when Maya turned the page. Gloria sat down slowly. Take your time. I don't know what I'm looking for. Yes, you do, Naomi said. Something she wanted hidden from someone who would search drawers, boxes, and files, but not scripture. Maya kept turning pages. In the back cover, beneath a faded bookstore sticker, her thumb caught on a raised edge. She froze. Naomi leaned closer. What is it? Maya ran her finger along the inside of the cover. There was a narrow slit, almost invisible, cut into the lining. Not torn, cut cleanly, hidden beneath a strip of brown paper that matched the cover. Her breath grew shallow. She slid one fingernail into the slit and pulled. A tiny plastic sleeve emerged. Inside was a micro SD card taped to a folded scrap of paper. On the scrap, Eleanor had written, "When they think it's gone." Nobody spoke. The kitchen seemed to shrink around those 5 words. Maya held the card like it might burn her. What do you think is on it? Naomi's face had gone very still. Only one way to know. Gloria stood. Before we plug that into anything, tell me we're not putting it into a computer connected to the internet. Naomi looked at her with new respect. Mrs. Price, you have been listening. I taught children who thought deleting browser history made them invisible. I learned. Naomi took an older laptop from her satchel. This one is clean and offline. I use it for reviewing sensitive discovery. Maya watched her set it up. Each movement felt too ordinary for the moment. Laptop opened, adapter found, card inserted. The screen blinked awake. A folder appeared. Its name was simply E.W. Naomi did not open it immediately. Maya, she said, once we see this, we make copies. We document. We do not react publicly until we know what we have. Maya nodded, though her pulse was pounding so hard she could barely hear. Naomi clicked. Several files appeared. Scanned letters, audio files, photographs, a spreadsheet, and one video file with a date for its name. Maya saw Langford in one file name. She saw Mercer in another. She saw Isaiah's initials beside a date from the week before the barn fire. Gloria's hand went to her mouth. Dear God. Naomi opened the spreadsheet first. Her eyes moved quickly. Dates, names, parcels, fires, sales, deputies, companies, notes written in Eleanor's exacting style. Maya leaned closer, but Naomi clicked away before she could read too much. Why did you close it? Maya asked. Because if this is what I think it is, we need order, not panic. Naomi, the lawyer looked at her. Your mother built more than notes. She built a structure. Maya's throat tightened. A case? Naomi did not answer. She opened one audio file, then stopped before playing it. Her hand hovered over the trackpad. Maya could not stand the silence. Play it. Naomi looked at her. Not yet. Why? Because if this contains what the file names suggest, listening is not enough. We need chain of custody. We need duplicates. We need to control when and where it is revealed. Gloria pointed to the window. And we need to assume somebody already knows we found something. At that exact moment, headlights swept across the kitchen wall. All 3 women froze. The lights moved slowly along the front of the house, then disappeared. Not into the driveway. Past it. Maya exhaled only after the darkness returned. Gloria picked up her phone and went to the window. Car kept going. Naomi began copying the files to an encrypted drive. This card does not stay here tonight. Maya looked at her. Where does it go? With me first, then to a second copy outside the county. And one copy stays with you, hidden somewhere Eleanor would approve of. Maya almost smiled, but the expression failed halfway. Her eyes stayed on the folder. What did she find? Maya whispered. Naomi's face softened. Enough that she hid it in the one place she knew you would eventually understand. Maya sank into the chair. For 2 years, that Bible had sat in the living room. She had dusted around it, moved it to clean, picked it up once, after a storm knocked a branch against the window and scared her. All that time, her mother's final answer had been waiting under her fingers. A wave of grief rose so suddenly, she had to grip the edge of the table. Gloria touched her shoulder. "Breathe, baby." Maya shook her head. "She should have told me." "I know. She should have told Daddy." "Maybe." She left all this, and then she left us. The words broke open before Maya could stop them. She expected Gloria to comfort her, to defend Eleanor, to say mothers do their best. But Gloria only sat beside her. "Yes," she said. "She did." Maya looked at her. Gloria's eyes were wet. "Death can make even love feel like abandonment. Doesn't mean she loved you less. Means you are left carrying what she could not." Maya pressed her palms against her eyes. Naomi's voice came softer from across the table. "Maya, I need you to hear me. We do not reveal this yet." Maya lowered her hands. "But this could help Daddy." "It will. But if we show it too soon, they will attack the source, destroy the context, intimidate witnesses, and bury the meaning under procedure. We use it when the room is too full for them to control." Gloria nodded slowly. "The public hearing." Naomi met Maya's eyes. "Maybe." Maya looked at the screen again. The folder names waited like sealed testimony. She did not know their contents. Not fully. The audience in some future room would hear them when it mattered most. Dale would hear them. Langford would hear them. Maybe the whole county would hear them. For now, the secret had to survive. Maya reached for the scrap of paper Eleanor had wrapped around the card. "When they think it's gone." She folded it once and placed it back inside the Bible. Outside, the farm lay quiet under the dark Georgia sky. Somewhere beyond those fields, people who thought they were powerful were still making calls, sending warnings, and trusting that fear would do what fire had failed to do. Inside the kitchen, Maya Williams watched Naomi copy her mother's hidden files and understood something that steadied her more than hope. The first truth had burned. The second had not. The first crash came at 2:17 the morning. Maya woke upright on the couch before she understood what had pulled her out of sleep. For one confused second, she thought she was hearing the barn again. Some leftover echo of fire and splintering wood trapped inside her dreams. Then came the second sound, sharper than the first. Glass breaking somewhere near the back of the house. She froze. The living room was dark, except for the thin blue glow of the microwave clock in the kitchen. The Bible sat on the side table where she had returned it. Closed, ordinary, silent. The tin box was no longer on the kitchen table. Naomi had insisted the real memory card leave the house before midnight, and Gloria had hidden one copy in a place she refused to name. But the papers were still here. Copies, notes, the list, the torn map, the documents from Clara, Harold, Thomas, and Dorothy. Enough to look important. Enough to be bait, if anyone came looking. Maya slid one hand under the couch cushion and closed her fingers around the can of pepper spray. Gloria had pushed on her before leaving. Her phone was on the floor beside her shoes. She picked it up without turning on the screen. Another noise came from the back office, a drawer being pulled out, then another. Maya dialed Gloria first. "Not 911. "Not yet." Gloria answered on the second ring, her voice already awake. "Maya, someone's in the house," Maya whispered. Gloria's voice changed. "Where are you?" "Living room. Get out if you can. They're in Daddy's office. Call Callahan." "I am. Put me on mute. Don't hang up." Maya switched lines and called Sheriff Callahan. He answered like a man who had not been sleeping much either. "Miss Williams? There's someone in my house." "Where are you?" "Living room. They're in my father's office. Get out now if you can do it without crossing them." Maya looked toward the hall. The back door was past the kitchen, too close to the office. The front door was closer, but the porch light had burned out last week, and she did not know if someone was waiting outside. "I can reach the front. Go. I'm dispatching units. I'm coming myself." A thud sounded from the office, followed by the scrape of metal. Someone had knocked over Isaiah's filing cabinet. Maya moved. She kept low, phone pressed to her chest, bare feet silent against the old floorboards she knew by heart. She passed the side table and stopped only long enough to grab the Bible. She did not know why. The memory card was gone, but her mother's handwriting was still inside, and leaving it felt like leaving Eleanor in the house with intruders. As Maya reached the front door, a glow flickered behind her, not from a flashlight. Orange. Fire. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She looked back toward the hall. Smoke had begun curling low along the ceiling near Isaiah's office. No, she breathed. A shadow moved across the doorway. Maya opened the front door and stepped into the dark porch air, just as a man's voice hissed from inside. Check the kitchen. She did not wait. She ran. The yard was wet and cold under her bare feet. Gravel cut into her soles as she crossed toward the old pecan tree near the driveway. She crouched behind it, Bible clutched against her chest, phone still connected. Callahan's voice came through the speaker, low and urgent. Maya? I'm out. There's fire. Stay hidden. Do you see them? She peered around the tree. Two figures moved inside the house, their shapes crossing windows lit by a growing orange pulse. One came through the kitchen, holding something under his arm. The tin box. Maya's stomach clenched. He had it. Eleanor's box, the papers, Clara's report, Harold's witness statement, Dorothy's letters, the map pieces, the names. The figure hurried out the back door. Another followed, carrying a stack of folders and a dark bag. Their faces were covered by caps, pulled low, and bandanas over their mouths. They moved quickly, not like burglars searching for jewelry, but like men who knew exactly what they had come to take. A truck engine started beyond the shed. Maya wanted to chase them. Every muscle in her body screamed to run, to tear the box out of their hands, to do something other than watch her mother's trail disappear into the dark. But Gloria's voice came faintly from the other line. Do not be dead brave, Maya Williams. Be living smart. Maya stayed behind the tree. The truck rolled away without headlights until it reached the road. Then the lights came on, and it vanished between the pines. Maya stood, shaking with cold and fury, as smoke thickened at the back of the house. By the time Sheriff Callahan's SUV came hard into the driveway, its lights flashing blue against the trees, Maya was already dragging the garden hose toward the kitchen door. He jumped out before the vehicle fully stopped. Get back, he shouted. My house is burning. Back, Maya. It's my mother's papers. It's your life first. Aaron Miller arrived seconds later, in another cruiser. Then a volunteer fire truck from the East Station pulled in, siren wailing too late for Maya's liking, but soon enough to keep the fire from taking the whole house. The flames had been set in the back office, not spread wide. Whoever did it wanted destruction, not a murder charge. That thought made Maya even angrier. They knew how much fire to use. They knew how much fear to leave. Gloria arrived wrapped in a coat over her nightgown, driving faster than anyone her age should have. She got out before the Buick stopped rocking. Where is she? She demanded. Maya stepped from the porch. Gloria took one look at her bare feet, the Bible in her arms, the smoke on her face, and did not ask a single foolish question. She just pulled Maya into her coat and held her hard. They took it, Maya said against her shoulder. What? The tin box, the map, the statements, everything from the table. Gloria's arms tightened. Naomi arrived 20 minutes later, hair pulled back badly, eyes sharp with fear she had not had time to hide. Maya had never been so glad to see a lawyer in her life. Naomi looked at the smoke-stained kitchen, the muddy footprints near the back door, the broken window, the burned corner of Isaiah's office. Then at Maya. Are you hurt? No. Tell me the truth. I cut my feet. I'm not hurt. Naomi exhaled. They took the bait. Maya stared at her. Gloria looked up too. Naomi lowered her voice. The real card is not here. The best scans are not here. The county records are not here. What they took was enough to make them believe they took everything. Maya knew that. She had known it in the part of her mind that could still think. But standing there with smoke in her curtains and her father's filing cabinet overturned, knowledge did not feel like comfort. They took Mama's box, she said. Naomi's face softened. I know. She touched that box. She hid it. She wrote those notes. I know. They don't even know what they stole. No, Naomi said. But they know they're scared. Maya looked toward the back office where firefighters were carrying out a blackened wastebasket and pieces of charred paper. I want them to think I'm done. Naomi studied her. Are you? No. Gloria stepped back and looked at Maya carefully. Say that again like your mama can hear. Maya wiped smoke and tears from her face with the heel of her hand. No, I'm not done. Callahan walked over then, his expression grim. We found accelerant in the office. Small amount. Enough to burn papers, not enough to take the structure. Naomi looked at him. Professional. Careful, he said. That worries me more. Maya turned toward the driveway. They knew where to go. Callahan nodded. Yes. Who would know that? He did not answer quickly enough. Maya's eyes narrowed. Sheriff, I don't know yet, but you suspect. I suspect this moved faster than gossip. Gloria gave a short, bitter laugh. In Pine Hollow, gossip is fast enough to outrun lightning. Not this, Callahan said. This was targeted. Somebody knew you were collecting records. Somebody knew the box mattered. Naomi crossed her arms. Which means someone close enough to the county files, or the sheriff's office, is feeding information. Aaron Miller stood near the edge of the porch, looking like the words had struck him in the ribs. He had been helping photograph footprints near the back door. But now, he would not meet Maya's eyes. Maya saw him. Callahan saw him too. Aaron, the sheriff said. Go check the road for tire tracks. Aaron nodded too quickly and left. Naomi watched him go. He knows something. Callahan's jaw tightened. Maybe is getting people's houses burned. The sheriff accepted that without defending himself. He looked older in the flashing lights, and more tired, but there was anger in him now that had not been there that morning. Not anger for show, anger with direction. I will put a patrol on this property, he said. Maya shook her head. No, Maya, no. If they see a patrol car here, they'll know we still have something worth guarding. Naomi's eyes sharpened with understanding. Gloria looked at Maya slowly. You want to look beaten. I am beaten, Maya said. I just don't want them to know which part of me they missed. Callahan looked at Naomi. What are you planning? Naomi answered. Nothing you need to put in a report yet. That is not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. The firefighters finished clearing the last of the smoke. The house was damaged but standing. Isaiah's office was torn apart. The kitchen table was empty except for scorch dust, a coffee ring, and one small scrap of paper that had fallen under a chair and escaped the thieves. Maya bent and picked it up. It was a piece of Eleanor's handwriting from one of the index cards. Only half a sentence remained. When they think they buried it. Maya turned it over. The rest was gone. She held it in her palm and felt, strangely, calmer. Dale Mercer and whoever stood behind him had taken the tin box. They had taken copies. They had set fire to the office. By morning, they would likely smile into their coffee, believing they had ripped the teeth out of Eleanor Williams's ghost. So Maya let the house look defeated. She let Callahan write his report. She let firefighters carry out wet ash. She let Gloria fuss over her cut feet. She let Naomi photograph the broken window and empty table. At dawn, the town began to wake. Pickup trucks passed slowly on County Road 6. A neighbor called. Then another. Maya answered none of them. Near 7, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Some lessons require repetition. A photo followed. The empty place on her kitchen table where the tin box had been. Maya showed it to Naomi. Naomi's face hardened. They think they have everything. Maya looked at the Bible still resting on the counter where she had placed it after running from the house. Smoke had darkened the edges of the cover, but it had not burned. No, Maya said. They think they have what Mama wanted them to find. Across town, Dale Mercer walked into the sheriff's office freshly shaved, carrying a paper cup of coffee, his uniform clean and pressed. When he saw Maya seated in the lobby with smoke in her hair and a bandage around one foot, he stopped. For the first time since the morning he threw her bag into the fire. He smiled. Rough night? He asked. Maya looked up at him. She let her face stay tired. Let her eyes look empty. Let him see exactly what he wanted to see. You should learn not to keep dangerous lies in old farmhouses, Dale said softly. Maya did not answer. She only looked down at her hands, folded in her lap, and let him believe silence meant defeat. Behind her, Naomi Bennett stood near the wall with her phone in her pocket, where 3 copies of Eleanor Williams's hidden files had already left Pine Hollow County before sunrise. And somewhere beyond Dale Mercer's smile, the real trap was beginning to close. Naomi held the sealed evidence sleeve between 2 fingers, as if even the plastic around it deserved respect. The room had gone so quiet that Maya could hear the projector fan humming. Somewhere near the back, a chair creaked under somebody's shifting weight. At the side wall, Dale Mercer stood rigid, one hand still near the phone Sheriff Callahan had ordered him not to use. Charles Whitmore's face was controlled again, but the control had become too tight, like a mask pulled hard enough to crack. Chairman Parker leaned toward his microphone. Miss Bennett, I strongly advise against playing any unauthenticated recording in this public forum. Naomi looked at him. Chairman, the files have already been copied and delivered to an outside investigator. They were preserved from a memory card hidden by Eleanor Williams before her death. Chain of custody will be documented formally tonight. Your board needs to understand why this project cannot move forward. Whitmore stood. This is outrageous. Langford Development will not be ambushed by grief, rumor, and illegally obtained audio. Gloria Price rose from her chair, slow and steady. Funny how men always call it illegal, right before the truth starts talking. A murmur moved through the crowd. Naomi connected the drive. Maya felt every eye in the room pass from Naomi to her, then to the screen. A folder appeared, labeled only E.W. Naomi opened it. She did not show the full list of files. She went directly to the one Eleanor had titled M-Root Pressure. Dale's face drained of color. Maya saw it. So did Sheriff Callahan. Naomi pressed play. At first there was only static. Then the muffled sound of a door closing. A man cleared his throat. Then Dale Mercer's voice filled County Hall, lower than his public voice, stripped of swagger but not cruelty. The old man won't sell while he thinks the land still has a future. Put pressure on the daughter. Make the fire stick. Once the charges hold, the farm folds. The room erupted. People gasped, cursed, stood, turned toward Dale. Clara Benton covered her mouth. Harold Reed rose halfway from his chair, both hands gripping his cane. Dorothy Mills whispered, "Lord Jesus," and began to cry. Dale shouted over the noise, "That's not me." Naomi paused the audio. Maya turned toward him. "Then you won't mind if we play the rest." Dale took one step forward. "That recording is fake." Sheriff Callahan moved into the aisle. "Stay where you are." Whitmore spoke quickly. "This is not evidence. This is theater. Anyone can manipulate audio." Naomi did not argue. She simply clicked play again. A second voice came through. Smoother, quieter, harder to place but full of business-like impatience. "And the others?" Dale answered. "Same as before. Scare them, paper them, burn what needs burning." This time the room did not explode right away. The words seemed to strike too deep for noise. They entered the older people first, the ones who knew what paperwork could do, the ones who had sat at kitchen tables trying to understand letters written to exhaust them, the ones who had lost husbands, brothers, fields, barns, and sleep while men in offices called it process. Then the sound rose. "You did that to Henry," Clara said, her voice breaking open. "You made him die ashamed." Dale pointed at her. "Sit down." Harold Reed's cane hit the floor once. "Don't you tell her to sit." Aaron Miller stepped away from the side wall, pale but steady. "Sheriff, I can identify Deputy Mercer's voice." Dale rounded on him. "You shut your mouth." Callahan's hand went to the butt of his holstered weapon. Not drawing, just warning. "Dale." The single word stopped him. Naomi clicked to the next file. This second recording was labeled by Mrs. Williams as WL meeting. "We are not asking the board to accept interpretation. Listen to the names." She played it. The same second voice came through again. Clearer now. "Whitmore says the holdouts are becoming a problem. Benton was solved. Reed was solved. Bell took longer than expected. Williams is central. No Williams, no connector. A third voice entered, faint but audible. The daughter? Dale again. She's young. Push the father, and she'll break. Maya's hands tightened around the microphone stand, but she did not look away. She would not give them the satisfaction of breaking at the sound of their plan. The recording continued. A rustle of paper. A glass set down. The second voice said, "Langford wants no direct trail to the department." Dale replied, "Then keep using the side companies. I handle the reports." Whitmore's chair scraped loudly. Naomi paused the audio. Every head turned toward him. Whitmore raised both hands. "I have never authorized criminal activity. I have no knowledge of this conversation." Maya looked at him. "But you knew the side companies. They are standard acquisition vehicles. Were Clara Benton and Harold Reed standard too? That is not a serious legal question." "No," Maya said. "It is a human one." Parker's voice trembled. "Mr. Whitmore, perhaps you should step away from the presentation table." Whitmore looked at him with contempt, barely hidden. "Chairman, I would choose my words carefully." That was when Marcus Reed, the local reporter, stood from the back row with his phone held up. "Mr. Whitmore, for clarity, are you threatening the chairman on a live recording?" Whitmore froze. Maya had not even seen Marcus come in. Naomi had promised he would be there, quietly, with copies, with a stream ready if the room turned ugly. Now half the people in Pine Hollow watching from home would hear the silence that followed his question. Gloria smiled without humor. "There's that public record folks keep talking about." Dale moved. It happened fast. He lunged toward the media table. Not at Maya, but at Naomi's laptop. Maybe he thought if he tore out the cable, if the screen went dark, if the audio stopped, the room might return to the world he understood. Sheriff Callahan intercepted him in 3 strides. Dale shoved past a chair. Callahan caught his arm and drove him back against the side table hard enough to scatter paper cups. "Get your hands off me," Dale snapped. "You're choosing her over your own deputy." Callahan's face was inches from his. His voice was quiet, but the room heard every word. "No, I'm choosing the law over a badge that forgot what it was for." Dale tried to wrench free. Callahan twisted his arm behind his back. "A badge is not a matchstick," Callahan said. "And you've burned your last piece of evidence in this county." The room went silent as Callahan removed Dale's sidearm first, then unclipped the badge from his uniform. The small metallic sound of the badge hitting the table seemed louder than the shouting had been. Dale's face had gone gray. "You can't do this," he said. "I already did." 2 men entered through the rear doors then, followed by a woman in a dark blazer. They did not come in running. They came in with the calm of people whose arrival had been prepared. The woman held up identification. "Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Deputy Mercer, we need you to place your hands where we can see them." The room erupted again, but differently this time. Not confusion, recognition, relief, rage, finally finding direction. Dale looked at Whitmore. It was a mistake. The glance was quick, but everyone was watching now. Whitmore looked away too late. Naomi saw it and said into the microphone, "For the record, Deputy Mercer just looked to Mr. Whitmore before complying." Whitmore snapped, "You have no right to characterize." Marcus Reed's voice came from the back. "It's on video." Dale was cuffed in front of the county that had feared him, excused him, complained about him in whispers, and watched him walk free too long. As one investigator read him his rights, his eyes found Maya. She expected hatred. It was there, but underneath it was something smaller. Fear. Maya stepped closer. Not close enough to be stopped. Not close enough to give him power. Just close enough that he could hear her without the microphone. "You burned the first truth," she said. "My mother saved the second." Dale's mouth opened, but no words came. The investigators led him toward the doors. People moved back to let him pass. No one reached for him. No one cursed loudly. The silence they gave him was colder than shouting. When he was gone, the room did not settle. It transformed. Clara Benton stood, crying openly now. Harold Reed took off his army cap and held it against his chest. Dorothy Mills gripped Gloria's hand. Thomas Bell stared at the door where Dale had disappeared, then bowed his head as if speaking to his brother somewhere beyond the ceiling. Parker looked broken behind the commissioner's table. This hearing is suspended. Naomi turned to the crowd. The project must be suspended as well. Whitmore began gathering his papers. Langford Development will cooperate with lawful inquiries. The GBI agent who had not followed Dale out stepped toward him. Mr. Whitmore, please remain available. We have questions regarding acquisition entities tied to this proposal. Whitmore's face hardened. Am I being detained? Not at this moment. Then I'm leaving. The agent smiled without warmth. The exits are public. So are the cameras. Whitmore looked toward Marcus Reed, toward the phones in the air, toward the people whose land had made his project possible. For the first time, he seemed to understand that leaving might look worse than staying. Maya returned to the microphone. She did not plan to speak again, but the room turned to her as if waiting for someone to name what had just happened. My father is still in jail tonight, she said. Henry Benton is still gone. Samuel Bell is still gone. Land was still taken. Shame was still handed to people who did not earn it. Her voice trembled once, then steadied. Justice doesn't always arrive fair. Sometimes it arrives late, tired, and carrying the names of people who didn't live to see it. But tonight, it arrived with their names. No one clapped at first. Then, Gloria did. One firm clap. Then another. Harold joined. Clara. Dorothy. Thomas. Then the sound spread through County Hall. Not like celebration, but like people knocking dirt off a buried door. Maya looked at the screen, where Eleanor's file still glowed. When they think it's gone. Her mother had been gone 2 years, but her voice had just entered the room and made powerful men answer. By sunrise, Pine Hollow already knew. Not the clean version. Not the version county officials would later try to shape with careful statements and words like concern, process, and ongoing review. Pine Hollow knew the raw version, the one carried by phones, church calls, diner whispers, and porch conversations before the morning paper could print a single line. Dale Mercer had been cuffed inside County Hall. Langford's man had been kept behind for questioning. Maya Williams had stood at the microphone with her mother's hidden recording and made the room hear what fire had failed to destroy. At 8:12 that morning, Sheriff Callahan called Naomi Bennett and told her the district attorney was dismissing the arson charge against Isaiah Williams, pending a full review of fabricated evidence, improper reporting, and witness suppression. Naomi made him repeat the words, while Maya stood beside her at the kitchen table, both hands pressed flat to the wood. Say that last part again, Sheriff, Naomi said. Callahan's voice came through the phone, tired but steady. Isaiah Williams will be released this morning. Maya did not move. Gloria Price, standing by the stove with a skillet of eggs she had made whether anyone wanted them or not, closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Lord." Naomi looked at Maya. "Did you hear him?" Maya nodded, but the sound had gone somewhere too deep for tears. Her father was coming home. The house still smelled faintly of smoke. The back office door was scarred. The kitchen floor bore scratches from the night. Men had come searching for Eleanor's truth. But the Bible sat on the table, its cover darkened at the edges and its pages still holding their shape. Beside it lay the scrap from Eleanor's note. When they think they buried it. Maya touched the paper once before leaving. The county jail looked smaller in daylight, maybe because fear had made it larger in her mind. Maybe because the men who had used it to hold her father no longer seemed untouchable. She stood outside with Naomi on one side and Gloria on the other. Sheriff Callahan waited near the entrance, hat in his hands, his face lined with a kind of shame that did not ask to be comforted. "I should have seen it sooner," he said when Maya approached. She looked at him. "Yes, you should have." He accepted it. "I know." That was all she needed from him then. Not speeches, not excuses, just the truth, standing upright. The door opened. Isaiah Williams stepped out in the same clothes he had worn the night they arrested him. Wrinkled now, smelling faintly of jail soap and exhaustion. For 1 second, he looked older than Maya had ever seen him. Then he saw her, and his face changed. "Maya Rose," he said. She crossed the space between them before she knew she had moved. He wrapped his arms around her, and the world finally allowed her to be a daughter again. She buried her face in his shirt and held on like the ground might shift if she let go. His hand moved over her hair the way it had when she was a little girl waking from thunderstorms. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Isaiah pulled back just enough to look at her. "For what?" "For not saving you faster." His eyes softened and sharpened at once. "Don't you ever apologize for how long it takes truth to fight through locked doors." Gloria turned away and wiped her face with a tissue she pretended was for allergies. Isaiah looked at Naomi. "Counselor." Naomi nodded. "Mr. Williams, I hear you've been keeping my girl from running straight into bullets." "I've been trying. She has poor respect for caution. She gets that from her mama." Maya laughed then. Broken and real. Sheriff Callahan stepped forward. "Mr. Williams, this office failed you. It failed your family. I won't dress that up." Isaiah studied him. The two men stood with years between them. Old debts, old respect, new damage. "No," Isaiah said. "Don't dress it up. Fix it." Callahan nodded. "I intend to." By noon, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation had taken possession of Dale Mercer's office, his case files, his department phone, and his county-issued laptop. Aaron Miller gave a formal statement. He cried halfway through, not from weakness, but from the terrible relief of telling the truth too late and still being allowed to tell it. More deputies were placed under review. The county announced that all active and recent arson-linked property cases involving Dale Mercer would be audited. Langford Development issued a statement denying wrongdoing, then another one saying Charles Whitmore had been placed on administrative leave, then a third one no one in Pine Hollow bothered to read all the way through. The Future Access Project was suspended pending state investigation. The commissioners voted unanimously because cameras were still rolling, and courage sometimes needed witnesses before it appeared. But justice did not arrive all at once. Clara Benton did not get Henry back. Harold Reed did not wake up to find his 20 acres restored. Thomas Bell did not hear his brother laugh in the kitchen again. Dorothy Mills still kept her husband's papers in a folder worn soft at the corners. Maya understood that now. Justice was not a magic door. It was a long hallway. Some people only lived long enough to hear footsteps. 3 months later, on a bright Sunday afternoon, Street Mark Baptist Church opened the small room behind its fellowship hall. The churchwomen had polished the floor until it shone. Someone brought sweet tea, pound cake, deviled eggs, ham biscuits, and a casserole nobody could identify, but everybody praised because that was the polite thing to do. Older men stood outside discussing the weather, the investigation, and whether the Braves had any sense left in management. Children ran between parked cars until their grandmothers corrected them by full name. On the door of the room hung a wooden sign made by Harold Reed's nephew, the Eleanor Williams Justice Room. For every truth they tried to burn, Maya stood before it with Isaiah beside her. He wore his Sunday suit, the dark one Eleanor had always said made him look like a deacon even when he was only trying to leave church early. His hand rested lightly on Maya's shoulder. "You all right?" he asked. "No," he nodded. "Good. Wouldn't trust it if you were." Gloria Price had already claimed a desk near the window, where she arranged intake forms, pens, peppermint candies, and a sign that read, "Do not leave original documents without a receipt." Naomi Bennett placed a small scanner on the main table. Sheriff Callahan stood near the back, not in uniform, listening more than speaking. He had come because Maya invited him, and because some apologies had to become habits before they became repair. Aaron Miller arrived quietly and left a stack of printed complaint forms by the door. He did not stay long. When Maya thanked him, he looked down. "I should have spoken sooner," he said. "Yes," Maya replied. He nodded, accepting the wound of it. Then she added, "But you spoke." His eyes lifted, grateful and ashamed in equal measure. "I'll keep speaking. That's the only way it counts." Inside the room, Eleanor's Bible sat on a shelf behind glass, not as a holy relic, but as a reminder. The original memory card was with state investigators now. Copies were secured in places Naomi would not name. The old tin box, recovered from a storage locker tied to one of Dale's associates, sat on the table. It was dented, smoke-stained, and empty except for new blank index cards. Maya had insisted on that. "What do we put in it?" Gloria had asked. "Names," Maya said, because names were where her mother had begun. The first person through the door was not a reporter or a politician or someone who wanted to praise Maya for being brave. It was an old man in a brown jacket, holding a yellow envelope with both hands. He paused when he saw everyone looking. Gloria rose immediately. "Come on in, Mr. Larkin. Nobody bites in here unless paperwork lies." A few people laughed softly. The old man looked at Maya. "They told me my papers were lost." The room quieted. Maya pulled out a chair. "Then let's make sure they never get lost again." He sat. His hands shook as he opened the envelope. Maya placed a recorder on the table, then a receipt form beside it. Naomi adjusted the scanner. Gloria wrote his name at the top of the first blank card and slid it into the tin box. Outside, through the window, the fields beyond Street Mark moved under a slow Georgia wind. The grass bent and rose, like it had learned long ago that surviving did not mean never being forced down. Maya looked at her mother's picture on the wall. Eleanor Williams smiled from a frame decorated with small white flowers. Beneath it, someone had painted her words in careful black letters. "Truth does not fear fire. Only liars do." Maya thought of the burn barrel, the rain, Dale's hand on her arm, her father behind glass, the night the house filled with smoke, the red dots on the map, the first time Callahan called her Miss Williams, the moment her mother's voice returned to a room full of powerful men and made them answer. She did not feel finished. That surprised her at first. Then it comforted her. Finished was too small a word for justice. Gloria called from the table. "Maya, we need another copy made." Maya turned from the window. "Coming." She crossed the room in the same muddy shoes Dale Mercer had once looked at with disgust. Cleaned now, but still worn at the edges. Still hers. Still carrying the shape of the ground she came from. At the table, Mr. Larkin began to speak, and this time, nobody told him his truth was trash. The lesson from Maya Williams's story is simple, but powerful. Truth may be delayed, buried, mocked, or even thrown into the fire, but it does not die when honest people refuse to stay silent. Sometimes justice does not arrive quickly, and sometimes it comes carrying grief, old names, and wounds that can never fully heal. But when one person is brave enough to stand up, others who were once afraid may finally find the strength to speak. Maya's fight reminds us that dignity is not given by uniforms, titles, money, or power. Dignity belongs to those who keep telling the truth, even when the door is slammed in their face. Thank you for listening to this story until the very end. If this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts with us. We would love to hear your feedback about the storytelling, the characters, and the message behind it. And if you have a powerful true story, a family memory, or an inspiring experience about justice, courage, kindness, or standing up against unfairness, please send it to our channel. Your story may become the next voice that helps someone else feel seen, heard, and remembered. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.